Okay, hello, welcome to Meshery Build and Release call. Let's, while other folks join in, let's just start rolling. Today we have very few agenda items, so this should be a quicker call than all the other calls. So before I share my screen, Hamza, your agenda item is first one on the list. So can you go ahead and share your screen and show me where you're stuck at?
Thank you. Um, well, I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took out 11, is there someone new on the call?
No.
So I assume everyone is familiar with this end-to-end test.
Yeah, you can just go ahead,
Yeah.
cruise right into it.
So I took out the sample app out of the GitHub Actions YAML, and
Okay.
then yeah, I've been seeing inconsistent behavior without the sample up there. With the sample up, all of these tests would pass. But without it, sometimes it says connection refused for some versions pass and then another one fails. Like for every commit I've been, yeah, this one says connection refused. But if you check another one, maybe this one, it says container Meshery in pod, which is terminated. So yeah, I'm getting inconsistent errors. I don't know where exactly they are
Can
coming
you?
from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so the place where we log the whole status for debugging is below here, and since we don't reach that step, that we can't see whether what's the whole status of this of the cluster. So before the test, before this thing, the tests were passing, right? So okay, so there was a new Meshery release. There can be something in there, maybe something, some breaking change, uh, which might have done this. But yeah, so do you have a passing test as an example that did any of your tests previously pass?
Um, there was one that touched on this commit. Maybe I got the wrong commit. Let me just check it. No, now they're all showing that they didn't pass yet.
This shouldn't be a Meshery issue because if I go to any other adapters, we are still running tests there, and some of them, yes, they might be failing, but most of them are passing, and the ones which are failing because of some other reasons. Then let me just confirm. Okay. This is interesting. I just looked into. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Istio adapters tests, and they all are failing as well with the same error that connection refused, which basically means that it tried to reach out to Meshy server, and Meshy server was not available. So um, so okay, so recently we had a change in the way we install Meshery using Meshery CTL. The Helm charts were changed. So when we're doing Meshy serial system start, actually we don't log just after Meshy's serial system start. We're not logging directly. So we could have seen it better whether the uh, check Meshy pod logs. Okay, it says Meshy endpoint is this starting meshing logging. Okay, so we don't even see Meshy's logs here. So I think there is some problem while starting Meshery. And I think this might be a problem after the latest changes that we had made, which is causing this issue. Okay. So just let me confirm this in other adapters as well. If this is an R issue, then I would have to look into this thing. What is causing it? Uh, okay, these are passing, but most probably these tests ran before that change. So if I go into, let's say, the actions, and if I look at D2E tests, okay, so the recent ones are failing, and all of them must be failing with the same. No, no, this is a build fail, not a. This is unrelated. But if I look at something like uh, this was executed 20 days ago, this also looks to me like a build fail, not a. Yeah, these were the older ones have different reasons to fail, but still you were being able to apply the pattern because the last release that we had, Abhi, when was the last time we had a mesh release off the top
Uh,
of your head?
2 days ago, I think. Let me check once to confirm.
Let me also
Yeah, three
check.
days ago. That is 0.6.8. 3 days ago.
Okay, so if I go into the actions for Istio, just to confirm, 3 days ago this test. Uh, Let me look at one of the. Okay, this one. Let's say. Uh, 3 days ago this ran and this failed, but these are consistently failing. These are consistently failing tests. These are being, these are failing tests on sample apps. So which is we know the reason for that because it tries to deploy a sample app using Kubernetes components, and the Kubernetes components are not already registered. And Hamza, you had a PR up for that, but I don't think that had an effect on this thing. Anyways, so if I look at some, let's say 10 days ago, the failure, the rest of the two are passing, these two are passing, so that's okay. But if I look at the one from 3 days ago, all are failing. And if I go into each one of them, and I should find that, okay, this is namespace is Meshery not found. It shouldn't have been the case if Meshery was installed successfully. Okay, so I have a hunch that there might have been some problem after the latest release in installing Meshery. So Hamza, that might not have been a problem from your side. And can you create take the screenshot of that error that you were getting inside of the workflow and create an issue on Meshery/Meshery that the workflows are failing because Meshery is not able to start.
Okay, sure. Let me do it.
So uh, if you can just do that, then I'll fix that, and just fixing that should fix all your errors as well. And that means that from your side, is anything remaining now on this PR, or are you sure that removing those things would pass the test? If that's the case, then you know what, we can just go ahead and merge it. Like seriously, it's means all the worst case thing is that we would see some failing test on the compatibility matrix, but that's fine by me. I mean, we are having failing tests for other stuff as well. I mean, this is not the only thing that you see. You can see here some of the failing stuff as well. So are you sure that the all the cleanups have been done on this PR, the PR? Let me open your PR. All the cleanups, as in the maybe some logs that you might have left here and there. So I'll review it. I'll give it a final review. But with the failing test, I will go ahead and merge it so that you can move on to the next thing. And I will merge it after you create that issue and you comment that issue out here that this PR is held up by that, and that issue will solve the failing test. Just write it down that that issue will solve the failing test and the issue that you will create. And other than that, let me, if you see the files changed, I so this looks fine, and this also looks fine to me. Uh, where you're referring to the, okay, oh, which one are you using? This one or this one? There are two here. Which parent file are you using to deploy?
This one, install console. Deploy is for shielding
Deploy for?
It's still somewhere in this E to E test workflow.
Okay, so I think you should remove one of these. So the action item would be, I think you can remove, I think you shouldn't use this one because here you are hard coding the version, although that would be overridden. Okay, so you're using console service mesh, and inside of the overriding stage, you're using services.console.version. It means that you're overriding for this one, which you know what, you remove this one, this extravagant one, and just use a simple one. And because this is the one that you're referring in the workflow as well, here as you can see, services.console.version, which is this one. So just use this one, remove this one, and wherever you have mentioned even the install console one, I don't think you might have installed.
I think it was
Yeah.
being used in the sample app.
Okay, this was for the sample apps you're using.
Yeah.
And yeah, but since we are not adding the sample apps at this stage, so you can remove this thing, and you can remove this thing. Other than that, I think everything would be fine in this thing. So we would be pushing this. Have you made sure that this particular stage is all fine? Like you, because this is writing raw markdown into this raw bash into this markdown. So have you made sure that all the commands are uh, okay, and these things are matched? Because I'll take your word on this thing. So for example, here you're taking Meshery's hyphen server hyphen version, the data.json. Are you sure that this is what you pushed from there? Because on the second stage we pushed. So are you sure about that this stuff is going to work fine?
Yeah, because I got it from Istio, from the Istio repository. I just changed the names of the console components everywhere in this.
At this stage, this particular JSON is being filled. So here, for example, here the Meshery component version is version okay. Meshery server versions, you take it from metadata dot, and it would be. Hmm. Yeah, if you have taken it word by word, then I think it should be fine. Shouldn't be any issues. So I just do that. That just remove this one, so that we don't have a copy laying around, and then and create that issue. I'll merge this PR. The failing tests are a general issue, so let's get them fixed. I think it's most probably due to the recent release that we had. Maybe something happened in there.
And for the sample apps, should we, I don't know, give them more time? I don't know in the
Uh, you know what? Let's just fix this issue, and I'll ping you on Slack about the sample app thing.
okay.
Okay, so the next one was also about the sample apps, which is just discussed that we would, in the light of failing tests, would be will come back to this after fixing the failing tests. Okay, cool. So I think we can move on to Abhishek's item. Abhishek, would you like to share your screen and talk about the Cypress test and all the sub tasks that you have listed down here?
Yeah, so just okay, so there is some update on the Cypress test recently. The update has been made on, I mean, from the extension point as well as from the extension packages point. And after the updates, earlier we were having like 6, 7 failed tests, and now it looks like most of the test passes. And not only this, the reason being here is because I mean, we tried to click on deploy button before the change name. I mean, one of the pattern loaded on the canvas, and we tried to just deploy it before it. So that's a race condition in the Cypress itself that could be fixed. That's not a big problem. I mean, with some API interception calls, that can be fixed. So yeah, so I'm just supposing that since it is a race condition, I mean, it should also have passed. So all the tests are passing right now. And recently, I think, yeah, that's one of the thing. And I mean, there was few tests which were a component spec test and some visualizer test that is not right now fixable due to the way the mesh map architecture is right now. So those were for now, I mean, skipped, and that could be, we can enable it back once we have the solution for them. And the next one is, yeah, so we are adding support for new tests. So that's one of the tests for validate and deploy buttons. So I think with that we have more number of tests, and we are also thinking to add few more tests from the design state machine, which is uh, from here. So I mean, you can perform any number of operations from their design panel, and all those operations are, you know uh, taken care by the design machine itself. And this design machine have to follow these 10 conditions at least for now, and these are mentioned here. And since they have been right now designed to be in such a way, so most of the things work fine right now, I mean, almost all of them. So just to stay in that position only, we need those tests to be are there in the E2E test, because yeah, so that after some amendments in the mesh map code or design machine code, they don't want to notice that one of these just started failing. So so that's one thing. Like I mean, Harshit, if he's here, Harshit, you're there, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So I asked him about take one of these or some of these, like any. So I mean, you should go through the list once again and see like which suits your best. Otherwise, if you don't have any knowledge about like what's written there, so you can tell me about it, and I can get you with you on huddle and assign you one of them or two of them for you to start at least. I mean, for starting. And yeah, I think the good thing is that Meshery extensions tests are passing, and I just I mean, it was failing for a long time, a very long time. And the latest test, I mean, it's once again getting, yeah. So I'll have to see through once again like why some of these fails with the latest changes. So yeah, that's the state for now. Since the mesh map is the production environment, and lot of things are dynamic in nature and not static build. So something go wrong in some scenarios. I mean, that's how it is right now. So that's why seeing fluctuations in failed and passed tests. Sometimes it passes all and sometimes fail few. So yes, I think I'll have to go through it once again. That's it.
Does this does these Cypress tests also encapsulate the, so right now these Cypress tests we are talking not particularly in reference to just Meshery, but we have extensions. We have Meshery extensions, and one of those extensions is Mesh Map that we heavily advertise. So one of those things, that Mesh Map, also have to have tests, and the Meshery extension packages and Meshery extensions. It's just a way to separate out the actual code and the place where we store the bundled release, the bundled tar gz, the thing that could be extracted at runtime and run plugged into Meshery. So we are talking about that, and inside of that we have also Cypress tests, just like we have Cypress tests in Meshery UI, and we have designer mode and visualizer mode, and we have tests for all of those things to cover up all the scenarios. So given all this context, my question was, does this cover the tests for visualizers?
No. All yeah. So uh, the reason the visualizer tests are not covered right now, because we can only, I mean, there should be a capability registry already there for GraphQL plugin to exactly point out where the plugin is located. we can do it on the server side. I mean, GraphQL should be injected on the server side also, and the index.js file being on the client side. So a lot of thing with Cypress we can, I mean, intercept anything and then modify according to our own will on the front end side, on the client side, on the browser side. But we don't have any level of control on what's happening behind the client, which is what's happening on the server. So until and unless the capability and the the GQL plugin is not registered by the Meshery server, and it only registers when the provider login is successful. And since the provider login is using OAuth 2 approach, and since OAuth 2 approach cannot be run on the uh, sandbox environment for now. So I mean, there are some few tricks to make it enable. But since we were failing some of the very basic level tests, so we don't actually progressed or in that direction. But yeah, so these are the hierarchy level that
In
and the
sim-
reason behind why it is failing. I
in
mean, why
simple
there is no test.
in simpler words, whatever Abhi said, for those of you with a little less context, as I said, Meshery provides a plugin model for you to attach extra functionality into one of those. That's that thing that we call Meshery extensions. And the reason that we cannot test Visualizer is because Visualizer loads up a GraphQL plugin, which is a Go-based plugin. And the life cycle right now of Meshery, in which we actually load that plugin, it happens after a successful login. But here there is this chicken or the egg problem, where we, in the Cypress test, we cannot actually like, we need to have it before login, I guess, right, Abhi? Before login we need to have that, yeah, plugin enabled. But the way our workflows, the way our Meshery's lifecycle work, the Meshery extensions are loaded after you're logged in to the Meshery server. So there is an open PR that I created a while back, which kind of provided a way for a user to explicitly pass an auth token and override that. But there are certain design considerations that it breaks some basic principles on which the extensions was initially built upon. So we did not go forward in that direction, and the PR was put on halt. And henceforth, this visualizer thing was also put on halt. And I asked Abhi this question right now because I thought maybe there was a workaround or something. And in future, we would want that. So let's keep that at the back of our heads and in a ClickUp task as well, so that we can later on. So all the tests in Designer are covered, right?
Yeah, yes, most of them. I mean, there are any number of open tests right here. The 10 are here, and but around 10 to 12 of them are in the completed state, and yeah,
You try to
that's
deploy the components as well, right? You try to deploy things as well, and the
yeah,
deployment.
and that's why here deploy failed. So yeah, the test is there to deploy a design, to deploy an application. Gaurav has been writing it. So
Okay, so when you deploy something, based upon the recent changes, there is a snap. The what do you call that? The pop-up
snack bar,
notification.
yeah.
Pop-up notification comes up, and it comes up with different messages. So do you make assertions about what kind of messages are going to come up, or do you?
Yeah, yeah. So for now, like those messages can be like any longer. Like at least for now, you will see if there are 10 components in the design, you will see 10 different messages that these just deploy, deploy, deploy. So the simple assertion that is being made here is that you should not see the failed deploy. I mean, once the deploy action is triggered and you get the response out of it, so that response should not be first 404, and there should not be any snack bar on the UI after 1 or 2 seconds of the response just got to us for containing any error messages of any kind. Like it may be failed to deploy, it may be like this component is not available, CRD not. I mean, anything that there is no assertion for success, but there is an assertion for failure. So if there is no failure, we assume it to be successful. So that's
Okay. So you take into account the time it requires, the time by which you see that
yeah. So
deploying.
yeah, so there is an interception, like we will intercept the slash deploy URL, and until and unless you get the response from it, we won't assert anything, like we won't check for it. The time you get the result, you'll wait for 1 second so that everything just is there on the canvas. We are not in hurry any of any kind. So though any error messages or on the if there is any error, snack bar comes onto the Meshery, it will remain on the screen for 8 seconds until someone clicks on cross, right? And same for success, it will remain for 2 seconds. So what's being I mean what's being followed here is that if there is any response from the, I mean, once the deployer is intercept, I mean, this deployer provides a response, we'll wait for 1 second in case there is some snack bar getting in. And after that we'll see if there is an error snack bar or not. So if there are error snack bar, then I mean, it will be marked as a false, and if they're not, then it will be marked as a success. So,
Okay, so are there any examples of a successful deployment, or the tests are failing in most of the cases?
uh, successful deployments examples. I mean, I don't see in one of here. I mean, I have to see through all those things, but I mean, in my local system, it passes every time. So I have
Yeah,
attached the
but I'm
screenshot,
talking.
but yeah.
Can you click on that step just to show what exactly failed? If you can show the, if you can go back to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
for this one, what exactly fail is that I mean it's going click and it halted here. I think this error will show something more. Yeah. Yeah. So the error here is basically about since everything is updated by GraphQL. So the time you get one of the elements, right, there is some update in the database, and I mean the table changes. So due to the race condition, the table just modifies itself, and what we fetched, I mean, from the cy.get table row, one of the table row contains one of the designs, right? So in that time, if table modifies itself, even with the same data, it will be, Cypress will think it of as a different data, because I mean that's how it picks up the element from the from the drawer. So
So
in that
in
case,
that,
it fits.
so the element, the design that it tries to click on, is it the design that it supplies, or it does it pick anyone at random from the designer drawer?
I think it searches for one of the design with the design name, and then I mean
So this
tries to.
update that you're saying that is happening due to the GraphQL subscription, is it due to the fact
Most
that when you search something, then it takes so at the time of updation, uh, the thing is like for the first 1 2 seconds it's flickering, and the first you get the first 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, and within that time until the point where it has completely showed all the rows, Cypress tries to click on something and that thing skips or goes up and down.
Yeah.
Or are you saying that someone else is making some changes to somewhere else, and that is causing that design to change, the subscription to get triggered, and that thing to go up and down?
I mean, there has been recent changes that has been modification around GraphQL and API request. So I'm quite not sure of whether our search items gives the request from what we requested from the API or from the GraphQL. But the GraphQL in some kind and more when it is a subscription based update, it's kind of untrackable, like whether the request just is successful or not. So in that time, I'm waiting for example, 2000 seconds. So I'm assuming that this pattern, I mean whatever I searched for, is there after, I mean, 2 seconds, right? So in case it is not there, or in case I mean, there is any kind of race condition that after this, it finds it or not finds it, or there is some conflict between, like, just the drawer just flickered or just updated. So the cy.get, which is getting the element and what should be clicked are two different elements for now, and that's where you will get the detached DOM error, that whatever you get from the from the Cypress is not actually attached on the DOM, but it is
Yeah,
detached
yeah.
and something else is there right now, so
So
you
what do
can't
you
click
think?
on it.
So what do you think is the fix here?
uh I think yeah, kind of. I mean, ideally, for an ideal approach, like there should be an interception point to the subscription endpoint, to the relay subscription, and it should, see whether the subscription data is updated right now, and based on that, it should, follow up on getting the element and clicking on it. But since I mean, there we can intercept a query, a simple GraphQL query, but the GraphQL resolver and subscription, it's quite, very hard or complex, or probably I have not searched it like more often. So yeah, I mean, the ideal approach would be to ideal fix it would be to intercept the subscription and see when the result comes, and when everything is up to date on the canvas, then only perform whether it is a click operation or any kind
Can
of
there
operation
be
on that.
can there be retries here just in case that it flickered and in that instant? So if you have like
Mm,
4 to 5 retries, if something in the for loop that try it 4 times, and if it fails the try getting that component, the like try doing this. Because
like
if
since yeah, I mean, we can use it. And there's no. I mean, that would make things a bit more complex on the Cypress code side. But again, since I mean, it's we are not sure whether after 2 3 attempts, there would
yeah,
be
because
like
we need
everything
to
okay, because
we,
anyone updates something on the database, like you or someone else, then the data would, I mean, the drawer will be flickered because of the subscription based update. So I mean, it's quite
yeah.
not sure, like even after 4 seconds or 4 retries,
So
everything is
okay,
stable, but
yeah,
you click on it and something flickered.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
that's why.
yeah, yeah. So I think that so right now in the subscriptions, so we have two types of designs: a public design and a private design. And in the subscription on the left that you see right now, especially in the case of the Cypress test, the auth token is provided in a way the kind of uh, so is the role, what kind of a role does it have? Because that will determine what kind of designs it sees.
Auth token, for now, at least for now, I mean, for very long time it has been admin role, but now it has been
Okay.
a mesh map role.
And even mesh map can see other private designs, right? Which other folks are
No,
working on.
mesh map cannot see any other private design, but they can only see their design, or if something is in public mode.
Okay.
But just
So
just
if
that there is any update on the public one and the subscription, because there is a database trigger at the end, if
okay,
that
okay.
read and
So
does or
so inside of the design configurator that we have a view to off the public views, right? We can just turn off the designs that are public, and if you can go to the designs page,
because yeah, that
can we
that
have if we have the same thing on the design configurator, the first thing we would be doing is to turn off the public thing so that while the tests are ongoing, the public stuff doesn't affect us. And then most probably it shouldn't affect us because we would be only dealing on the left side, we would be only seeing the private stuff. So and off the top of my head, think you see here you have that catalog, that hide button. If you just hide it now, you only see the private stuff. So this button should on off the top of my head, thinking in terms of consistency, this button should be available in mesh map as well, right? In the left side of designer drawer, a way to turn off the view or to not see the catalog. And do you think that if we turn off this view and if we are only seeing the private stuff, the private stuff would be only altered by us? So that shouldn't be the case, the issue that you said.
I don't think that it will anyway help. I mean, I'm curious, or maybe I don't have enough knowledge whether if there is any update on the database, and if I'm just a mesh map user and you updated something as an admin, if there is, due to the database update, there would be subscription update coming to me also. Uh,
Okay, so the
bec-
yeah. So right now the way it works is that the subscription work on a Meshy server level, not at a cloud level. It doesn't work on the cloud level. So if you change something in the same Meshy server, you will see that thing being loaded on. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, if you change something at the cloud, there wouldn't be there wouldn't be a change.
okay. Okay. Only on refresh there you would see a change. Fine.
Yeah, right now, because right now we don't have a kind of a subscription going on between the cloud and or even a long pulled request between the cloud and the server. Right now we just have those subscriptions being the way when we start a Meshy server, it starts those subscriptions. All it checks is that on an Meshy instance level, if you have like 5 clients connected to the same Meshy server instance, and one of the clients changes the design, that would trigger a change in the rest 4 connected Meshy clients. So it only
So
works in
it's
Meshy.
it's not like a database trigger event.
Yeah, it's not upon to the database level. It's not there. Meshy Cloud is
I
unaware of.
suppose for a long time that it is based on database trigger level, like wherever your data changes by anyone. I
No.
mean, whenever there is an update in the database, it will trigger some kind of action to update the
Um,
subscription.
Yeah, although Uzair would have been the person to talk about it because he was the one who implemented it. But the way our Go channels and the way we have added those subscriptions, they only keep a track in context of they do. I mean, when you provide a save operation, it gets triggered. So whenever you provide a save, but again, so when you do the save operation against this mesh server, that Go channel is in not a Go channel, Go routine is created that goes ahead and pushes something onto the subscription. So everything, yes, it is happening on a server level, not at a cloud level. Although the ideal approach would be to have these changes being at the cloud level, and as we go, and that can be consolidated in the spec that one of the guys, I guess his name is Nishant, is writing about
Uh,
moving on to the I mean, P2P WebSocket, the kind of uh, people sharing their data, people not their data, their mesh map designs, and uh, being able to collaborate on a single design. And when we will be talking on that level, there we would be most probably having, okay, so in the first iteration we might not have, but in the next further iterations we would be having some kind of a mechanism to have this communication between the server and the cloud, and then maybe we can have what you said, but right now it doesn't. So and if it doesn't, then actually if it doesn't, then that shouldn't be happening, right? Someone changes something and the tests, because the tests run their own Meshy server instance, right? Yep.
yeah,
So if that's the case, then maybe we should look into something else. Maybe something else is the okay. Coming back to the, I think we have just 15 minutes left, so I'll quickly come to. So we have wrapped this thing over, and there is this ClickUp task open for this thing, and I think most probably Abhi and Harshit will take care of this thing. So Mario is not here, so I'll jump on to Kamal because he had some problems. So Kamal, would you like to describe what issues were you facing?
Yes, sure. Hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, so like, uh, shall I share the screen?
Yeah, sure.
Is it visible?
I can only see your cursor. I cannot see unless your wallpaper is pitch dark and you don't have any icons on the screen.
Um, mm, Maybe I will share in chat. Can someone open it on the screen?
Okay, I'll share my screen if you just want me to go over this issue.
Yeah, yeah. So let me tell about it. So recently, while installing Meshery via Meshery CTL, so the Docker Compose is auto installing, so that's correct. But it has something permission issues going on. So in that image, we can see the permission issue at the below. That screenshot only.
Yes, okay. So this might be. Did you try this with sudo? Actually, failed to download this. Uh, Open. Actually, there is some execute permissions that are needed to be given. Does your Docker underscore compose file has plus the execute bit set? So if you just do chmod plus x and then followed by the path slash user slash local slash bin slash docker hyphen compose, that would give it execute permission. That would give Meshery CTL the execute permission on that. So have you tried that?
No, I haven't tried. I will try that. Also, like before that, Docker Compose was not installed on my system, so I just installed Docker Compose. And then when I ran this command, I got an error like your local system does not have a .cube config file. So ideally, I think like I was installing it on the Docker system, like the command above. I was installing via the Docker system, Docker platform, but the error that it gives is Kubernetes. So I think is that ideal?
So what was the command that you ran? Meshery CTL system start, and
Yeah,
then
Messenger system start.
okay, so when you said Meshery CTL system start, at that time inside of .meshery slash config .yaml, what was the platform set in your current context? Was the platform set as Docker or was it set as Kubernetes?
No, actually, please move the cursor above.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. So I just had ran this curl command of Docker.
So if you run this command, then yeah, here you explicitly override the platform as Docker. So yeah, it should ideally install in basically it should run up containers and use Docker Compose. And so using this command only, you were getting the error something like
Yeah,
kube config is not present.
yeah.
Okay. Do you have any logs for that? There's some screenshots or logs that I can look at.
Okay, I will share that in Slack afterwards.
Okay. So you can share that in Slack. I'll give my suggestions on top of that. In here, you can just try to set the execute bit for Docker Compose and try again if you run into this issue again, because most probably this issue should be solved by that. Otherwise, we'll see. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks. So Abhishek, you can share your screen and
Yeah,
quickly
so
talk.
yeah, one of the problem I just saw you know uh, uh, the logs from the failing test is uh, that there the tables were not populated even after 20 seconds of halting, like waiting for the first column inside the table. So we have been I mean you guys you and Uzair has been talking about like removing the dry run things. So I sometimes just doubt like whether it is actually removed or not, because I just loaded it and it will wait for any number of, I mean, 5, 10, 15 seconds for the first designs to come up, and until and unless the designs don't come up, the applications and filters are also not populated.
Yeah. So why don't you do this for me? You reloaded, right?
Yes.
Open your network tab and on your network tab, select WebSocket WS, filter by WS WebSocket, and reload the page again. Uh, yeah, so this is not an issue at the back end actually. I'll tell you, no, not here. The all their WS on the wasm doc, the format that have been all fetch yeah, just above that, on just below the
What should I
filter,
say?
just just below the filter. Can you click on WS? Yeah. Now just uh, look at these messages. So it takes a lot of time for a WebSocket connection to even establish from the client side. And once it does, then you start getting the data back. But what I saw was that whenever the first request reaches the first subscription successful 101, basically switching protocols, the first WebSocket subscription that is established to the server almost immediately replies. The problem is that it takes time for client to even initiate this thing. The web. Can you just filter this, basically clean these things up and just reload the page? Before reloading, yeah, just reload it, and as soon as you reload, keep clicking on these things, and the query, and you will see that all of those are pending. WebSocket is not available. WebSocket is not closed before connecting. Yeah, so there are a lot of retries on, and one of those would succeed, and this one succeeded, and hence you had your. So one of the things that I suggested was to Uzair, I think, was we can establish a subscription, and assuming the fact that there is some problem at the client side, maybe with the browsers, because I actually looked up this thing at the time we were having some bottlenecks, and Nitish solved that bottleneck at the backend. At that time, it was both, like this was an issue plus some bottleneck at the backend. Right now, there is no bottleneck at the backend, so this is the only issue. So for the first request, the first population that happens, we can have a GraphQL query for that. Okay, so the first GraphQL query would populate it, so that would be instantaneous. After that, we will initiate a subscription, and the change would happen through the subscription. So the first request can be a query, so that would make things a lot faster, not only on this page but on other pages as well. So if that's the issue stopping you from stopping you here, then can you create a subtask inside, or a task, or maybe a task that your original task would be dependent on, blocked, consider that as blocked, and assign it to Zaire, and mention the description that make the query first, because the subscription takes time. Just describe that thing, and or maybe actually this is a front end issue, right? So if we have query open, can you, if you can make this change that your first request can be a query, so you have your GraphQL endpoints there, the query endpoints, so even you can use those endpoints to first use GraphQL query so that the data comes
I mean,
quickly.
why query? That can be API also request also, right?
Yeah, that can be, but
That
slowly
would
we are
be
trying.
faster, I believe. But now when uh, okay, that would again come up with a flickering change, because uh, I mean, if there is something already there due to the API request being successful, or the first query being successful, with this thing, getting in the way, like with this thing getting successful, the WebSocket being successful, it will again update the table, uh, and it, right? So it will, I mean, with the same names, with the same things, but it will kind of trigger a DOM detachment and attachment again. So that will uh, again throwing us the problems like before. And one
Okay,
of the
so
thing is there is
consider
uh,
considering that this thing would take time, the WebSocket connection would take time to initiate, and the query would be faster. So just after the query and just before the WebSocket connection, if you can, this is a kind of a hack, but between that time, if you just do those clicks so that the DOM is not updated. So this is a general problem that we are using subscriptions. Subscriptions are updating the DOM, but our tests want the DOM not to be updated. So is there a way we can circumvent it on the Cypress side, that we, even if the DOM changes or something, we can still have some kind of a mechanism to, okay, so your node says that no.
no, because it doesn't have control on your DOM. It can do any kind of operation, scrolling, clicking, holding, like any kind of events that a user can do, but it can't change what you have already written on the front end or back end.
Okay. So yeah, this kind of a head scratcher. So let's discuss this on tomorrow's mesh map call. How does it sound? So there we will have more folks whose head is around this area, who can give better insights than I can maybe. So let's discuss it on tomorrow's call. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess since Gaurav, would you like to talk about the filter configuration tests?
Yeah, so yeah, after the Meshery dev call yesterday, so let me share the screen. Yeah, so after the Meshery dev call yesterday, me, Abhi, and Mario sat for around like half an hour, and we discussed about like the recent change which was made on, the filters and the designers. It was related to a GraphQL query that because previously we were using REST calls for fetching the data, and now GraphQL APIs are used to fetch data in filter as well as pattern catalog. So due to that, we have disabled the current filter spec integration and the end-to-end test. So for that, a utility is already created over there. And Mario has started working on this, using this particular utility to create a new or to refactor the old Cypress test for filters. And yeah, like if any you have any kind of specific query, uh, like this thing is under progress.
Okay, so Abhishek, do you have anything to say here over here, given that this is closely related to the Cypress test?
No, I think we were talking about it yesterday with Mario, so he has to come up with some updates regarding it, and
Okay,
yeah, do some graphical interceptions, and he had been writing the aliases for it. So until and unless
okay,
he
okay,
pushes something,
okay. Let's move on to the next item with Gaurav, validate and undeploy for extensions.
Yeah, so I recently added a PR. So we were having deploy action for filter for designs and applications in Meshmap. I also added it for undeploy because undeploy wasn't there, and for validation too. So I tested that locally, everything passed. But again, I am not sure that undeploy will work because deploy was also failing in CI, as like Avi told. So we
Yeah.
need to test on that. And for this review we made on validation. So for validation, we don't like no network call is being happening because it's just opening this
so the
validation
assertion, I mean, the assertions don't only happen based on like
calls.
whether
Yeah,
you have made network calls or not. You can do it based on what you are seeing on the screen.
yeah, that's what I commented. So yeah, we can check the model content over there. So that would work. And for this one, let's change it to error failed checking. So
Yeah, I yesterday I mean deployed something and it failed. So it didn't give like error failing. It says failed deploying X. And then we are checking for should not contain error, capital E error, but we should check error as well as failed, right? So there should be a regex. I mean, either error or false or XYZ, like whatever. So
uh,
you should see something around regex. So that would
or we could like do something like fail deploying and then put this as a string interpolation, which ever particular app we are doing. So
that would
that
like too absolute, and it's not always like this. So it's not always true that it will give the error message like deploying application fail or whatever it is. So we have to be very generic of like there should be error, then it should. I mean, the message should somewhere contain error. It's if we are being more specific that it should contain error deploying XYZ, then we are somehow missing it. So we'll most yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that
So
was
that okay, that was it from Gaurav. And since Mario isn't here and Gaurav talked on his behalf, I don't think I have. Okay, I'm not sharing my screen. Yeah, so I do not think that I have enough time to go over this compatibility matrix thing. Although just to quickly wrap up, what it is all about is tests are failing, and the tests are failing after the new Meshery release. The tests and that I just discovered in this call when Hamza was here. So a lot of tests here are in red right now. The green ones are of the previous Meshery release. So after we had dot 6.3 or 4 something, after that we are having this particular error on. So this is an action item for me. I'll look into this, that why the Meshery is not being able to successfully start up in this CI environment, although everything is working in our own everything is working in generally in our own environments, and when we try to deploy it in Kubernetes or Docker, everything is working, but inside the CI environment, something is causing Meshery to not successfully deploy, which is causing tests to fail. So I would look into this and yeah, probably get this fixed. And yeah, that was the last item, and I think we can wrap up the call now. So thank you, folks, for joining in, and see you on next week on Thursdays. Build and release call. It happens bi-weekly. So up until that point, bye everyone. Bye.